And the last one we have is Pepita Madalyn Redhair. She has been missing since March 27th of 2020 from Albuquerque, New Mexico. She is a Native American female, 27 years old when she went missing. She will be 32 years old as of 2025. At the time she went missing, she was 5'1" tall, 141 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. She has 2 moles on her chin and a scar on her left eyebrow. She does have some tattoos. She has a dinosaur on her right forearm, a koi fish or dinosaur on her left forearm, a butterfly on her shoulder, a moon with lightning on her left leg, and her last name Redhair, it says elsewhere on her body. And she is an enrolled member of the Navajo Nation. She was last seen wearing a black shirt and black shoes. So Pepita was last seen when her mother, Anita, dropped her off at her boyfriend's house, which was in the 1000 block of Clements Street, Southwest in Albuquerque, on March 27, 2020. It said recently she had told her mother that her boyfriend, Nicholas, was drinking to excess. He had been physically violent towards her. Her mother was concerned, and she did try to get her to come home, but Pepita refused and said that, everything would be okay. Unfortunately, she was never seen or heard from again after that point in time. 3 days later, when her mother texted Pepita to ask how she was, Pepita did not respond, which is uncharacteristic of her behavior. A few days after that, her mother texted her again, and she got a reply from a man who said that someone else, not Pepita, had sold him Pepita's phone. Her mother decided to file a missing persons report at this time. Pepita's mother stated that Pepita went out for a drink on the night of her disappearance, then argued, or her mother stated that this man and Pepita had went out for a drink on the night that Pepita disappeared. They had an argument. Pepita walked out. The next day, he said he got a text from her. That's when he said he got this text saying that she was with another man. And it says that he presumed that it was a man. This man was a person that they had met the night before. No one has been named as a suspect in Pepita's disappearance, and the circumstances are unclear, and her case does remain unsolved. But if you have any information, you can contact the Albuquerque Police Department at 505-768-2020. So I have an article from March of 2022, a little bit more information about Pepita. As the 2-year anniversary of her disappearance nears, the family of Pepita Redhair is still hoping for resolution to her missing persons case, and they are appealing to the public for help in finding her. Pepita Madalyn Redhair is my daughter, said her mother, Anita King, who is from Crown Point. She went missing on March 27, 2020, from her boyfriend's place in the South Valley, Albuquerque, New Mexico. King describes the grief and anguish of not knowing what happened to her 27-year-old daughter as never ending. She says, quote, "People don't know how it feels missing a baby." She said, "Heartache will not go away until she is found." She says, "The day she went missing, my life has changed. It was so emotional and so sad that I went into depression and I could not sleep. I isolated myself. I did not want to talk to anyone." Pepita's sister, Shelda Livingston, says, talking about her mother, says she cries all the time. We are praying that Pepita does come home. Livingston said that she helped raise her missing sister. She says, I am my sister's voice. I took care of her since she was a baby. Livingston said they recently set up a GoFundMe account to raise money so that a reward can be offered for information that leads to finding Pepita. Livingston said, if you see something, say something. If you saw something and you're afraid to say something pertaining to my sister's disappearance, you can remain anonymous. Pepita traveled back and forth from Albuquerque to Crown Point regularly to visit with her mother, where her room at home is still intact. And when King dropped Pepita back off at her boyfriend's house in Albuquerque on March 24, 2020, she did not know that was the last time that she would see her daughter. Her mother says, we had our last meal at McDonald's. She said, Mom, I love you. She was always happy. When Pepita went missing, her mother said that she had the intuition that something had happened to her because her daughter normally stayed in contact with her by phone. She says she always called me every day saying, Mom, what are you doing? What are you up to? Do you need anything? She said Pepita would have called if she went away somewhere. Her mother says that it is just not her, that she would just disappear. On March 28th, 2020, her mother did report Pepita missing, and she was entered into the National Missing Persons Database. Her mother says, Albuquerque PD, the day I reported her missing, they said they couldn't help us. The cops kind of just brushed it off. They said she's an adult, she's free to travel, she's free to be missing. I was told. I was pretty upset. And once again, that's so frustrating that we hear this in so many cases of missing adults. King, her mother said that the APD told her that she needed to work with the Crown Point Navajo Police Department, since that is where Pepita was from, even though she had lived at her boyfriend's house in Albuquerque for over 3 years, according to Livingston. And that's unfortunately another problem when it comes to indigenous people, is, who they either don't want to take the case or is going to take the case, whether it be, tribal police or the city or county or state police. It's just also very frustrating in these cases with missing indigenous people. The article goes on to say Livingston, who I believe is her sister, says she was not homeless. However, Crown Point PD told King they needed to get back to APD because that is where Pepita was last seen. Livingston says that's why we went back to APD, and they told us, okay, we'll start investigating. However, because of the pandemic had just started, the APD police were not doing in-person interviews with potential witnesses. The lockdowns and stay-at-home orders also made it hard to travel, which caused more delays in the case. Her mother says, I wish we could have done more, but the excuse was the pandemic. King said that she was disappointed and traumatized by the lack of response from the Crown Point PD because she lives near the police station. She says, quote, they did nothing. They said it was out of their jurisdiction because it happened in Albuquerque. I was told she is an adult and we can't help you because she was missing out of Albuquerque, end quote. After that, Pepita's mother says that she just never called them again. She says there was no help. She says, quote, I would just walk around thinking, who do I call? At the time this article was written, it says Senior Public Information Officer Christina Sosi for the Navajo Nation Police told the Navajo Times the NPD has been working to, quote, strengthen partnerships and resources in regard to victim services for families of missing loved ones. Sosi says, quote, in some cases, individuals are reported missing with off-reservation law enforcement due to their last known location, as in the case with Pepita Redhair. She said the NPD is aware a missing person report was filed with the Albuquerque PD for Pepita, and she has been entered into the NCIC, which is a database that provides law enforcement across the nation access to information. So she says we are periodically contacted by the Albuquerque Police Department to follow up on possible leads, and we continue to support their case in any way we can. So on their own, Pepita's family members went to look for Pepita several times in Albuquerque in the vicinity of her boyfriend's house after she went missing. Unfortunately, nothing was found. Her mother says we did flyers. I printed them at my own expense. And that's another thing, once again, in these cases, once again, so frustrating. These families help from the police department, can't get information. They have to pay money out of their own pocket for information or to print flyers. It's just a sad situation all the way around. Her family also participated in numerous missing and murdered indigenous relatives gatherings on and off the Navajo Nation. In October of that year, after witnessing the search for Gabby Petito that swept the nation, King and Livingston decided to hold a rally just for Pepita in Albuquerque to raise awareness. Livingston says, quote, we were so overwhelmed trying to find answers. I said, you know what? Pepita's name needs to get out there, end quote. She said the week after they held a rally, APD investigators called them and said they wanted to do an interview. Livingston said, quote, the prior investigator went to cold case and they kind of put it to the side. When we did the rally and the news went out, that's when they finally contacted us. They told us they wanted to hear our side of the story. She says it went around the world that we're raising awareness for my missing daughter. That's when everybody got involved. However, nothing of value was found. Pepita's mother says there's no trace, there's no lead yet. The detective from Albuquerque is working on the case. They won't give me all of the information. They say it's confidential because the case is active. King says it is frustrating to have no real answers despite the efforts made to find Pepita to date. She says it's an ongoing loss. It seems like we're not getting all the help now, but at least the detective is doing what he can. He checks up on me every now and then. King says her job in Gallup keeps her busy during the day, but nights are extremely hard. She says, when I get home, it hits me. A few weeks ago, I told myself that I'm going to be strong. I'm going to stop crying because I'm tired of it, how I feel every day. I told myself I don't want to get sick anymore. I want to be strong for her. King said because of the pandemic restrictions at the time, she was not able to get counseling, but she did have occasional behavioral health calls, and she depended on her children for support. She says, quote, for my spiritual belief, I pray, I cry, I just read my Bible and pray. I ask Heavenly Father, if she's there, give me a sign. On June 4th of that year, there was another awareness rally at Tigo Park in Albuquerque for, quote, justice and answers for Pepita, and everyone was invited. Livingston said that she wanted to urge Navajo communities to stick together and watch out for their relatives. She said to all the families on and off the reservation, be vigilant, take care of your kids, the girls and the boys, look over each other. So that's just a little bit. It's just, once again, I can't stress it enough. So frustrating, especially a lot of times in these indigenous person cases, just they don't get the attention they deserve, the attention they need. So that's why I feature a lot of missing Indigenous, to try to bring more awareness.